this is what I call my consumer education study session number 1. So this study session number 1, you will be able to view everything that I'm speaking here. You can learn more. I do have a course online that's almost finished. It's almost completed. You can start watching me when I start doing my videos, my lives on Facebook. I will be uploading the videos to YouTube. Anything that I do, like a Zoom or another type of study session, I will let you know if they will be a replay form, but I do not answer DMs. So you will have to contact me either via my email that I show you at the end of this session, or you can put comments in my in the comments section as to what type of question you have about it. Also drop your city and state so I know where my viewers are coming from. All right, let's keep it moving. And 2, I always like to promote the power in people, because a lot of people, when they don't understand their power, they don't know what it is to get certain things. They see other people. Why can this person get something done and I can't get it done? Because you're not opening yourself up to, you're not opening that box. You have to open yourself and experience certain things. So there's a power within you that you don't know you even have. And I will tell you, your signature, as we're talking about consumer law, and I am going through this process myself, your signature is the most powerful thing that you have. And it all comes from the United States making this one big mistake, and I'm going to let you know what that mistake is, which I think was a benefit to us. So don't get it twisted about what I just said. All right, so now. All right, let's talk about a few acronyms first. We're going to talk about, you may hear me say UCC, USC, or CFR. All right, the UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code, USC stands for United States Code, and CFR stands for the Code of Federal Regulations. You'll hear me say these a lot, so I want you to know what these are and where these come from. These are all laws. This is where we get the laws from. This is how these finance companies, these creditors, have been cheating us and violating us for years. I'm going to explain it to you in a minute too. All right. So don't forget, UCC is Uniform Commercial Code, USC, United States Code, CFR is the Code of Federal Regulations. All right. So let's get some definitions out the way. You need to know what debt is. So we're going through this consumer law process because we want to better our credit. But at the same time, we are incurring what they call debt at the same time. You have seen the United States debt clock. That, if you look at that large number, that number is steadily going up. It's just getting larger and larger because every time you go apply for a credit card, you put your signature. Every time you go get a loan, you put your signature. That amount is being added to that debt calculator, the debt clock. Excuse me. And a debt is an amount that is owing to the United States on account of a direct loan or loan insured or guaranteed by the United States. And when I quote you these USC, UCC laws, you go check them out for yourself. Please do your own homework. Don't just take what I say with a grain of salt. So you go back and you check on your own, research it yourself. I will have like a workbook so you all can have these in your especially as it pertains to certain subjects, if it's a down payment or if it's hold on one second. I had to go to the restroom. Okay. So you go check out these laws, and I have a workbook, ebook workbook set up for you so you can have something in front of you. Because I know a lot of people, when they like to study, they don't have the internet right in front of them. So at least if you have the workbook, you can go back and glance at it. So we say debt is an amount that is owing to the United States on account of a direct loan or loan insured or guaranteed by the United States, right? Debtor means a person who is liable for a debt or against whom there is a claim for a debt. So the debtor means the person that's owing, okay? All right, you do see where I got person in purple because there is also a definition in the laws for a person. A person is what we call, includes a natural person. That's me and you. Okay. It's the natural person included in individual, Indian, a corporation, a partnership, an unincorporated association, a trust, or an estate, or any public or private entity, including a state or local government or an Indian tribe. That's a person. We need to know what we are when we're reading these laws. We need to know what we are, what we are as it pertains to those type of laws. So at this point, you would rather be the debtor. Okay, you would rather be the debtor because these laws are going to show you and unlock things that you didn't know that you had the power to do. A lot of us didn't know that we can exercise our consumer rights, and by being a debtor, you're allowed to do that with these laws that the United States has set forth. Especially with the Truth in Lending Act. They created these laws so that you're able to, what they call it, land of the free, pursuit of happiness. All of this coincides with that. All right, 28 USC 3002. What is the United States? And just to give you an example, you know about the post office, right? Back in the day, it was called post office. Now it's called U.S. Postal Service. Post office is still inside of the U.S. Postal Service, but the post office is like a department, like the Department of Human Services, or a big department like the Department of Treasury and stuff like that. That's what the post office is. But the U.S. Postal Service is like, that's where they make money off of, mailing and filings and stuff like that. So post office, U.S. Post Office and U.S. Postal Services are two different entities. Just like the United States is not what you think the United States is. The United States is only 10 square miles around Washington, D.C. So it's like the definition for United States means a federal corporation. Okay? Think about it. Okay, if I'm a citizen of the United States, how can I be a citizen of a corporation? You can't be a citizen of a corporation. They have a law included to let you know that it is against the law to say that you're a citizen of the United States. Okay? All right. So just remember, the whole time we're going through this session, the United States is a corporation. It is a business. Okay? All right. So this is why we know that the United States is a corporation, because the United States went bankruptcy in March 3rd, 1933. In March 3rd, 1933, that's when President Roosevelt required that everybody that had gold and silver to return it to the United States. And that's when they created those 12 Federal Reserve banks. And that's where they housed all of the gold and silver. And in return, to make it look like we have money, they start to create what they call the FRN, the Federal Reserve Note. That's money. That's what you have in your hand. That's a fiat. That is fake. That money has no more importance as the piece of paper that you write on. Because remember that the United States is a corporation. The only way that you can communicate with a corporation is through another corporation. And the only way that you can make transactions is through credit transactions. Okay? So in order for them to pay or to have some type of liability for this bankruptcy, because they owed other countries, and March 9th, just 6 days later, they came up with what we call now the Social Security number. Each person, when they were born, they would give them a birth certificate and a Social Security number. Therefore, that's where the trustee part come in, and that's where it comes the straw man. If you notice on your bills, when you get your bills in the mail, they come in a positive form, not negative, and your name is in all caps. That all caps name is your straw man name that they created with their Social Security number. You are separate from that straw man because you are a natural human, a living, breathing person. So it has the same name as you do, but you're the living, breathing person. And that's the person that the United States is obliged to pay our debts. Okay. So to speak. All right. 18 USC 8, back to piggyback off the bankruptcy. When they took all the gold and silver, and in order for the United States to pay their debts to society, this is where they enacted the law called 18, well, annotated 18 USC 8, where all debts, private, public or private, are the obligation of the United States. You're not supposed to pay, or we're not supposed to pay, not one bill. When you get that bill in the mail and it say positive, you're supposed to sign it. You're supposed to put the amount on there that you want. You're supposed to sign it on the back, and you're supposed to send it back to them, and they're supposed to send you a check. And the reason why I say this is because once you go apply for that light to get your lights turned on, once you apply for that credit, what needs to be placed on that piece of paper before any transaction can be done? I'm going to give you a minute. Type in the comment box. What has to be in place or done before anything could ever happen, or you can receive anything? Credit, lights, gas, water, cable, anything. Okay? Is your signature. They need your signature. That signature is letting them know that they're going to take that money when your debt is already paid. They take it out of what they call a substitute trust. Substitute trust. That's that account that you have with the United States Treasury. It's not a bank account. It was set up to pay the United States debt under bankruptcy. And that's how all debts, public or private, are the obligation of the United States. Okay, so keep that in mind. You are not supposed to pay a bill. But those debts that are being paid or are the obligation of the United States, they're like personal things that you need, like a house, a car. You need like linen. You need like stuff you need to live day by day with. Not like, it's not for your business. You can't use that for your business. No. You can't go out splurging and just buying crazy stuff, because you'll have the men in black walking, knocking at your door. So be careful how you treat the 18 USC 8. Okay. All debts, public or private, are the obligation of the United States. All right. Consumer law. Let's talk about down payments. And this journey that I'm on with consumer law, it's like reading the Bible to me. It has to be interpreted, and just like these laws have to be interpreted. When the United States went into bankruptcy, they said, let's put everything in the books, write everything down, because at that time in 1933, a lot of people couldn't read or write. So when they put them, and then once they put it in writing for the ones who could read and write, they put it in a language to where you can't really understand what they're saying. You actually got to go cipher and research and talk and communicate and study to even get what they're saying. So learning consumer law has been like reading the Bible to me. All right, so consumer law down payments, the opt-out, before we can even do anything. How many times have you went to apply for a loan and nobody ever told you that you can opt out of getting your credit check? I'm gonna wait. How many times have you went to apply for that car loan? Have you went to apply for that house loan? And nobody ever stopped you before when you okay, let me tell you what 15 USC 6803, I'm explaining to you what I'm talking about. Now you'll see me read my laws from my papers because I'm still trying to memorize these laws, but I do understand the meaning of these laws. Okay. 15 USC 6803 states that at the time of establishing a customer relationship, that's when you walk into that loan place and you sit down and you tell them, I want to apply for a loan. With that consumer, you the consumer now, and not less than annually during the continuation of such relationship, a financial institution shall provide a clear and conspicuous disclosure to such consumer in writing or in electronic form, other form permitted by the regulations prescribed under section 6804 of this title, of such financial institutions, policies and practices with respect to disclosing non-public personal information to affiliates and non-affiliated third parties consistent with section 6802 of this title, including categories of information they may disclose. What they're saying is the non-public personal information, that's the information when you sit there and you apply, you write your information down. This is between you and that company you getting that loan with, right? You didn't give them permission to run your credit. Now they may say, we're going to run your credit in order for you to get the loan. Okay. That's not good enough. The law states that you have to give these people written consent. So when you go in there and you get that loan and they run your credit, before you even get anything, they just violated you. They just violated 15 USC 6803 because now they didn't report it. They didn't took your private information, your name, your address, your phone number, your social security number, everything about you that you wrote down on that paper was your private information. Would you think about it? Would you write that down and hand that information to me? No, you wouldn't. That now you feel like you see what I'm saying about the privacy, right? They took your information and they sent it to another non-public person. I mean, let me see what they call it. Non-affiliated third party. That's what they call it when they send it to a TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian. So when they violated you, you were supposed to have been giving them written consent. You didn't give them. You didn't write nothing down on paper before you filled out that application, telling them that they can check your credit. And two, that disclosure is not even handed to you to even let you know that you can opt out. Because you can still get the loan. You can still get the loan. If they allow you to be approved without a credit score, which I highly doubt, they were supposed to get written permission from you. And by them not having it clear and conspicuous on the disclosure, letting you know, or give you that option, they have violated you with 15 USC 6803. Okay? So just know that if they don't ask you, do you want your credit, your information reported to the credit bureaus? Let me stop saying credit bureau because they're not bureaus. They're just a regular company, just like Capital One, just like World Financial. They're the same companies. All of those are companies. They have EIN numbers. So Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian are regular businesses. The only bureaus are the CFPB, the FTC. Those are bureaus. Okay, they regulate. Bureaus regulate. The credit consumer reporting agencies, the CRAs, are regular business. They make money sharing your information. Okay. All right, so just know they're supposed to give you the option to opt out. All right, the 16 CFR 433.2, that's the preservation of consumers' claims and defenses of unfair or deceptive acts and practices. So what it's saying is when you get that car loan, when you go apply for that car loan or a regular loan, it don't make a difference. There is a notice that they're supposed to, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but once you type it in, you'll see it. But let me see if I can give y'all kind of like a thing where you can see these type of notices. So I'm gonna let you see the beginning of it. You go kind of close so you can kind of see. You see where it says notice? That notice right there, and I'm gonna go slow across the screen so you can see it. That is what they're supposed to show you. They're supposed to be in a box on your application. If they do not have that on the box in your application, that means that that contract that you just signed is not a binding contract. It's voided. So if they do not place this notice, on that application to where you can see it in that box, that is not a binding contract. Okay. So 16 CFR 432.2. All right, 18 USC 911, whoever falsely and willfully represents himself to be a citizen of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Did y'all get that? You're not even supposed to say that you're a U.S. citizen. It is against the law, according to 18 USC 911. Yes, I see why they call it 911, but still. But anyway, you are not supposed to say that you're a U.S. citizen. If you notice that, if you go look this up, just type it in Google it. Like me, I'm a citizen, but I'm a citizen of the state of Mississippi, so I'm considered to be a Mississippian. All right. If you notice that every state has its own constitution. Every state has its own constitution. So go look that up. You're a citizen of that state that you reside in, or your abode is what they call it in the laws. That's where you abide, your abode. Okay. It's not your residency. It's where your abode. Okay, that's what they call it, your abode. All right, so just know that it's illegal to say that you're a U.S. citizen, and that goes into play with all that stuff that I hadn't really tapped into yet about becoming a sovereign, an American national, getting my status corrected. because it's a lot of benefits to getting your status corrected. It's going to be a fight. Just know everything that you do, especially with this consumer, you're trying to restore your credit. This whole process, to me, anything that we try to, they didn't want us to know none of this, y'all. First of all, they didn't want us to know none of this. So it's almost like we got to retrain our brain to get rid of what we learned, because we thought that we was living in the land of the free when we actually weren't. We was being used ever since 1933. We were being used. So we actually got to just reprogram our brain and start opening our eyes up to a lot of stuff that they do. They actually, because if you owe them a debt, they will sue you in a heartbeat. They don't mind throwing these codes and laws at you to make sure they state their claim, because they know they can get away with it because you're ignorant to how the law works. So just as long as you're following me through this process, we're following together, we're answering questions, we're studying, we communicating, networking, you'll start to see a shift. And trust me, it's a big shift coming, because besides just this consumer law stuff, this 1099A, that stuff is about to start booming, because there's some people that's got this down packed. But just follow me on that process too. Okay? All right, 16 CFR 433.1. This one states that if a creditor, a person who, we're talking about a person. So a person is an individual, corporation, or any other business, but a person who, in the ordinary course of business, lends, purchase money, or finances the sale of goods or services to the consumers on a deferred payment basis, that's the credit, or monthly payment, provided such person is not acting for the purpose of a particular transaction in capacity of a credit card issuer. So what they're saying is they're talking about a purchase money loan. All right. Let me give you the definition of a purchase money loan. That's a cash advance which is received by a consumer in return for a finance charge. So they're telling you that a creditor is considered a person who is issuing this, what we call a purchase money loan. So anytime, or the seller, a finance charge, which we'll talk about the definition of a finance charge under the Truth in Lending Act. So anybody that's considered giving you credit is considered a creditor, and if they're charging you a finance charge, that's what they call a purchase money loan. That purchase money loan is already paid for once you put your signature on that paper. Okay. All right, let's talk about buying a car for a minute. All right. When we talk about buying a car, let me go to and then we'll talk about finance charges in there. Think about it. When you go to buy a car, it's like they make buying a car a bad thing, because it takes all day for you to buy a car. It's like you're sitting there for a long time. And the reason why, and before I go into telling you how it works when buying a car, I absolutely tell everybody that I come into contact with, do not, if you can help it, do not go straight to the dealership to finance your car. Because once you go straight to the dealership and finance your car, they're shopping your credit to about, I'm going to say, 10 plus finance companies. That's an inquiry that you're going to get on your credit report. That's why when you go to apply for a car, your credit score just drops dramatically. And you start to get all these refusal letters or denial letters in the mail from companies. You're like, I didn't know I didn't know this person was, I did it with this person. I didn't know this company. Like, all these companies coming out the blue. And I will show you in a later video how to remove inquiries, especially when you didn't get a credit approval from it. All right, so you wondering why you're getting all your credit score dropped, and you're wondering why you're getting all of these letters, because they're shopping your Social Security number around to these businesses. And once again, goes back to the notice to where you didn't give them permission, period. That's 15 USC 6803. You didn't give them permission to shop to that many. So they done violated you 10 times. 10 times is how many times they violated you. All right. All right, now, so think about it. It's an all-day thing. What they do is when you go in there, you tell them you want to buy a car, and they sit down, you write your application or whatever, and once you sign it, they take your application to the back. Now knowing not knowing that your stuff is already, once that signature is applied, that's the promissory note. That's the retail installment contract. Once they go into the back, when they go into the back, they're going to go to the finance manager. They're going to hand it to the finance manager. And I need you to ask yourself, it pretty much take all day because they're doing 2 transactions, all right? They're doing 2 transactions. This is because while you're in there, the finance company that they choose, the finance company that they're communicating with, is like a corporation to a corporation. So the only way that a natural human like me can communicate with a corporation is that it has to be a credit transaction. So this credit transaction, first of all, the first transaction is them shopping your stuff around, right? The second transaction is with their finance company, because they didn't already crunch the numbers once they contacted the trying to see who wants to, which finance company approve it. So once they get that finance company, then the finance company gonna ask them, what do you got for me? What type of collateral do you have? And the dealership lets them know that I got this promissory note that my customer just signed with your signature. This is how powerful it is. You didn't even have to have collateral. Notice the whole time you didn't hear me say anything about a down payment, right? Okay. So once they get that paper signed, once the finance company receives that paper that you have with your signature, then that is the only way that dealership is going to get that check cut to them. That's the negotiable instrument, that check. Okay. So once they get that check, that is what is considered, when you buy that car, that is what is considered a purchase money loan, because they're charging you a finance charge. All right. And anything that is involved in that credit sale is paid at the time that you signed it. All right. So it's paid at the time that you signed it. So just know, when they're back there, there's 2 transactions going on. They're shopping your credit, and then they turn around and they're using your signature to get a negotiable instrument for their car to be paid off. So once they get that check, the car paid for. Okay. Now, once they come back to you, and they tell you, what can you pay? How much can you pay on it? They're looking for a down payment when they ask for that. They're not supposed to do that. Okay. So I'm going to explain the rest of this when I get to this certain slide. So let me go to this next one so you can know the difference between a purchase money loan and the open-ended transactions. Now, you also got to think too, credit cards credit cards they're a loan. But the thing about it is, open-ended transactions are supposed to be never ending. It's supposed to be like you use whatever you want to use during the month, and at the end of the month, it's supposed to be charged the next month. That's not how it's happening. That's how they're getting over on us. That's how they're getting all these fees. That's how they using us and breaking and violating laws, because an open-ended transaction means that, just like a credit card, I'm supposed to be able to spend without even getting, okay, say for instance, they say you got a $300 credit limit. I don't supposed to have a credit limit at all. When I get that credit card, I'm supposed to be able to spend as much as I want and not get declined, as long as I keep making my payments monthly. That is an open-ended transaction. And it's supposed to recharge to where I should be able to use it again the next month, that $300. Okay? All right, so now you know what a purchase money loan is, and you know what an open-ended transaction is. Down payments are illegal. Back to my car example, my dealership example. They come out the back to you, and you can look this up in 15 USC 1605. The transactions are already paid in full. So they come out and ask you, what can you pay on it? Like, you not knowing and you want the car real bad, they already told you was approved, you're going to find some way to pay them that money. They're not supposed to do this against the law. That 1605 is telling you that, let me see, 1605. It's 1605 is telling you that, and let me read the law to you so that you can hear it come out of my mouth. That except as otherwise provided, this is a finance charge, because they've already included the finance charge, which they're supposed to walk you through everything that's in that finance. That retail installment contract tells you something, but they're supposed to walk you through everything on that retail contract. Okay. Finance charge defined. Except as otherwise provided in this section, the amount of the finance charge in connection with any consumer credit transaction shall be determined as the sum of all charges. So that means sum of all charges. That means that everything was supposed to have been placed on my retail contract in order to be considered when I sign that check, everything paid for, right? The finance charge, listen. The finance charge does not include charges of a type payable in a comparable cash transaction. Whew. I said a mouthful, which actually took all the breath away from me when I first learned this. The finance charge shall not include fees and amounts imposed by the third-party closing agents, including agents, settlement agents, attorneys, and escrow and title companies, if the creditor does not require the imposition of the charges or the services provided and does not retain the charges. Okay? In other words, what they're telling you is that I'm not finna hand my stuff paid for. I signed it already. I've approved. I'm not supposed to turn around after that contract and hand you $5,000. No, that's against the law. So if you ever had to pay extra money on the side and you got proof showing that you paid it, they're in violation of the law. If I were you, I would contact that company. It's not no legal advice, but this is what I would probably do. It has happened to me. I have had a car company to literally drive me my car and then turn around and say I had to pay $400. This coming to my house. This at night. This is what this car company did to me. I'm going to let you know. I had this dealer to bring me my vehicle to my house, right in front of my house. And when he brought me my car, he said, okay, that, you still owe me $400. I handed this man $400 and he drove off. That was after, and it was at nighttime. So, it had to be after I had already did. This was like a day after. I didn't even get to drive my car off the lot. This was like a day after. And I still gave the man $400, not knowing I was ignorant to this law, 15 U.S.C. 1605. That you're not supposed to pay cash on a credit transaction. So I don't have any receipts or anything like that, but I do have in that same car contract. When I looked in that car contract, I noticed in the finance charge area, it was telling me something about cash. Now, a lot of those truth and lending boxes, those little 4 boxes that's on your retail contract, that 4th box will sometimes say down payment plus total amount payable plus down payment. Okay, so that'll be the total amount of everything with the finance charges and how much the vehicle costs with the percentage rate plus the down payment. But when you get down in the box, under that box, it says cash down payment of $2,000. That right there is against the law because you shouldn't be paying no type of cash, even though it was a credit, it's included in the finance charge. Let me go back to my words again. That is a finance charge does not include charges of a type payable in a comparable cash transaction. So for them to put the words cash down payment in there, they just violated the law. Even though I didn't hand them cash, the $2,000 cash, they placed that inside of my car contract, cash down payment. So they just violated me on the 15 U.S.C. 1605A. Okay. All right. So now that lets you know that down payments are illegal, and you can seek legal advice, do a consultation. A lot of things with consumer lawyers that a lot of people don't know is they're like, oh, I don't have money for a lawyer, so I'm just not going to even worry about it. A lot of people don't like to deal with it because they don't like to deal with the judicial system anyway, or civil, or district court. They don't like dealing with stuff like that. They're kind of scared because they trained us all these years that nothing is above them. Law trumps whatever these people say that they can't do. Law trumps it. Okay? So whatever they say their privacy policy is, no, this is what the law says. This is what they put into law, so you have to adhere to it. All right? And that means down payments are illegal. Now, you may have some dealerships or some creditors or whoever it is you go get your loan. They'll say, we're exempt from all them laws. Well, that doesn't apply to us. They are not exempt. According to 16 CFR 433.3, only sellers that are exempt is if the consumer credit contract that when you sign for that loan was written before November 1st, 1977. So if they try to tell you that they're exempt from that, just hit them with that 16 CFR 433 and make sure you tell them what it means. And if they sit there and keep denying it, by all means, put it in writing. Go after them. Go after them. The only power that we got is the laws have set forth everything for us. We just have to read, sit down, cipher, and figure out what these means and how they relate to our situation. Okay, a lot of people out here giving these templates. I have general templates to help you with a lot of this stuff that's going on, but don't copy the template word for word. Put your spice on it. Put what you're going through is like this as it pertains to you. Because trust me, these creditors are getting smarter now. They already know they're breaking the law. So they're going to use your stuff that you sent to them to their advantage. If a letter come in looking the same way on a lot of different people's disputes, they're not even going to read it. And then Lord forbid that they don't read it. That means if they don't read it and abide by it, then now you got to go back with that affidavit. You're going to either arbitrate or litigate. Okay, we can arbitrate. I'm arbitrating with you right now when I tell you what I want done and what you violated me for. And if they don't arbitrate, if they don't abide by what you set forth in your dispute, then we have no other choice but to litigate. And back to what I was saying about the consumer lawyers, a lot of people don't understand that majority of those consumer lawyers don't have consultation fees. So you can go speak with them, tell them your situation, and they can let you know if they can represent you or not. And then a lot of them don't get paid until you get paid. So you don't have to worry about any money, okay, with a lot of these consumer lawyers. Okay, let me wrap it up. I didn't want to make this video too long. The study session too long, but I hope you got a lot of value from what I said. Make sure you put in the comments the questions that you have. Make sure you put in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Please share. You'll see me a lot on my Facebook page. I will just upload videos on YouTube, so go ahead and follow my YouTube page. I do have Instagram, to where I post little stuff on my Instagram, but Facebook, I put Facebook first because Facebook is majority where I'll be at. Because I need, with this, it's a lot of information to take in, and a whole process of me helping myself and able to give the information out to y'all. I have to be organized. And it takes a lot. So for me to be on one platform, that's exactly where I'll be doing it at, a lot on my Facebook group. But it is a private Facebook group, so you have to be accepted. Okay. My videos, I will upload my study sessions on YouTube, and you can also visit me on Instagram. All right. Thank y'all for watching.